Hey everybody, good news. It's draft time, almost. Major League Rugby draft is coming up in just a little bit. And you know that I've covered the draft, but also been a little bit critical of just the whole idea of whether you should declare for the draft and what are the pluses, what are the minuses. And you know that I talk about having to travel across the country. That's very difficult. You should pick your city in a way. And a lot of players are choosing to pick a city such as Charlotte, where they have a chance to at least play some ARP rugby and move their way up. Now, there are players who have done that, such as Peyton Talia-Lalio, who forewent the draft and instead just moved to Austin, got into playing locally. The Huns and the Blacks are both there, and worked his way up through the Austin Academy. Austin isn't anymore, but he sort of waited out his draft downtime and is now playing MLR and on the national team. So that worked out for him. But I also thought I would have a look at some of the actual data in terms of, where are you going to get to play in Major League Rugby, and how does that compare, say, to at least one other sport? So let's have a look. First of all, I had a look at the last 4 years of the draft, and just the first year for each player. Anybody drafted, let's have a look at their first year to see if they played. And I took out players who either went back to school or went somewhere else, such as played for the USA Sevens team, something like that. So this is coming out of that group of just under 150 players. What happened to them? Well, in those 4 years, just over 50%, 51.7%, never played a minute in their first season. Seems like a lot, okay? 0. I then divided them up into little groups. Did you play just a little bit, 1 to 10 minutes in a season? That's almost 0, but you did get on the field, 7.5%. So about almost 60% really didn't play much at all. 11 to 79 minutes. That's, just looking at, did they get a game's worth or close to a game's worth in over the season? 10% able to do that. 80 to 239, so that's a game, up to 3 games worth. About 9.5% did that. And then anybody played more than that, about actually 21% played more than that, often up into the thousands of minutes. So, averaging, if you go over 800 minutes a season, that's 40 minutes a game. So you're playing, you're either a starter or you are a fairly regular reserve. So how does that compare to, say, let's have a look at the NFL. Now, I don't have a lot of time to go through all of this, so I did what was expedient to me. I looked at last year's draft for the NFL. And Pro Football Reference has a thing called career value. So you look at the value, and they assign a value to a player. So instead of judging minutes, because it's a little bit different, I just had a look at the career value. If you had 0 value, I'm guessing you didn't play much. And if you played much at all, you probably didn't do very, very well, but generally probably didn't play. 80% of NFL draftees had a career value after their first year of 0. How many of them had sort of some value? About 7%. And then really solid value, up to a couple of them, superstar value, obviously, about 13%. So really, compared to, now of course the dollar amounts, let's not talk about the dollar amounts completely, NFLs, right? But in terms of the likelihood that you're going to play, well, it's leaning toward Major League Rugby. Now, why is that? First of all, have a look at this. This is the main number that I'm looking at. In NFL, there are 257 draftees. It's about 15% of the spots that are available in the NFL. That meaning, you see everybody is got to prove themselves and get a spot on a roster. About 15% of those roster spots are being drafted again. Are they being filled by those draftees? Not necessarily, but they are drafting 15% of the available roster spots. Major League Rugby, they're drafting about 11%. So it's actually a little bit easier to get on a roster. The issue, of course, is can you handle it if you don't make it? Can you handle it if you don't play?